My sister-in-law smashed my son's PS5 because he wouldn't share it with her son. My brother defended her, and my parents took his side. When they realized what I'd done, they called me in panic. My sister-in-law destroyed my son's PS5, his birthday gift, because her brat wanted it. My brother didn't like how I reacted, and suddenly I was the villain. When they realized there were consequences, they went hysterical. Name's Ronnie, 45 male. And this story went down a year ago at my son Milo's 8th birthday party. My wife died 4 years ago. Brain aneurysm. She was making breakfast one morning, collapsed, and never woke up. Left me with a 5-year-old kid and a funeral to plan before I'd even figured out she was really gone. Since then, it's been me and Milo figuring things out. I run a commercial property management business that my grandfather started, so I can be around for him. We do breakfast together. I drop him off at school. We play video games after homework. He's a good kid. Quiet, thoughtful, doesn't ask for much. After his mom died, he went through this phase where he barely talked. Took almost a year before he started acting normal again. Video games became his thing. Gave him something to focus on besides the massive hole his mom left behind. My older sister Haley basically moved in with us for 3 months after the funeral. She's 48, never married, runs her own accounting firm. She handled the stuff I couldn't, packed my wife's clothes, dealt with condolence calls, made sure Milo ate. She loved Milo like he was her own. Still does. He calls her aunt, but she's basically a second mom. Here's what you need to understand about my family. I have 2 siblings, Haley, who's basically a saint, and Drew, my younger brother, who's 41. Drew married Zoe 8 years ago, and they had a son, Colton, who's now 8. Same age as Milo. From the second Drew and Zoe got together, my parents treated them like royalty. Drew could do no wrong. Zoe, despite being a materialistic nightmare, got the family princess treatment. And Colton? That kid might as well have been made of gold. Zoe hated my wife from day one. Pure jealousy. My wife was a pediatric nurse. Smart, kind, actually warm. Zoe worked in her dad's real estate office doing basically nothing and making 6 figures. She couldn't stand that my wife got more attention at family gatherings. Couldn't handle that people actually wanted to talk to my wife, while conversations with Zoe felt like hostage negotiations. At my wife's funeral, Zoe showed up in designer everything, spent the whole time on her phone, didn't hug Milo once. When people were sharing memories, Zoe loudly asked Drew when they were leaving because she had a nail appointment. Haley almost threw her out. After my wife died, the favoritism got worse. Last year, my parents paid for Drew, Zoe, and Colton to spend 2 weeks in Aruba. Cost them at least $15,000. When Milo asked if we could go on vacation, my mom said maybe next year. Money's tight. 3 weeks later, they bought Colton a $4,000 gaming computer for no reason. For Milo's 7th birthday, my parents gave him a $25 gift card to a fast food place. Didn't even put it in a card. The month before, they'd thrown Colton a party with a rented bounce house, magician, and custom cake. Invited 40 kids. Spent at least $5,000. Here's the thing about Zoe that made everything worse. She actually encouraged Colton to take things from Milo. At family dinners, if Milo had something Colton wanted, a toy, a dessert, whatever, Zoe would tell Colton to just take it. Share with your cousin, she'd say to Milo with this fake sweet voice while Colton grabbed whatever he wanted. If Milo objected, she'd call him selfish. My parents never said a word, just watched it happen. Drew let all of it slide. He'd stand there while his wife bullied my kid and say nothing. Sometimes he'd actually back her up, tell Milo he needed to be more generous with family. This from a guy who'd borrowed $10,000 from me 2 years ago for a business opportunity and never paid back a cent. When I brought it up once, he said family doesn't keep score. Funny how that only applied when he owed money. The financial situation with my parents was rough. They'd made bad investments in their 60s and ended up broke. I'd stepped in about 6 years ago. They lived in a rental property I owned. Charged them $800 a month when market rate was $2,500. Plus, I'd been giving them $1,000 cash monthly. So I was covering about $32,000 a year of their living costs. Drew knew about this, but kicked in nothing. Said he was building his business, some cryptocurrency trading thing that mostly involved him losing money. But my parents never asked him for help. I was the reliable one, so I got to foot the bill while Drew got treated like the golden child. Haley tried talking sense into them multiple times, pointed out the favoritism, warned them that Zoe was toxic. They'd nod along, promised to do better, then nothing changed. Haley eventually stopped trying and just focused on being there for Milo and me. I'd kept my mouth shut for 3 years. Stayed calm when my parents forgot Milo's school events, but never missed Colton's. Wrote checks for their rent while watching them spoil my nephew rotten. I told myself I was being the bigger person. All that changed at Milo's 8th birthday party. Milo turned 8 on a Saturday in September. We'd been planning his party for weeks. He'd been asking for a PlayStation 5 for months. Watched every video about it, knew every spec, talked about it constantly. The thing was expensive. $650 for the console plus another $200 for extra controllers and a couple games. But I'd saved up. I spent the week before fixing up our house. Put up decorations in his favorite colors, blue and silver, set up a gaming area in the living room with screens and beanbag chairs, ordered pizza from the place Milo loved, got a custom cake designed like a game controller. The guest list was small. 8 kids from Milo's class, 3 neighbors who'd been good, and family. I invited my parents and Drew's family because I was still thinking they were capable of basic decency. Haley was coming, obviously. She'd actually helped me set everything up the night before. She had asked me point blank while we were hanging streamers, "You sure you want Zoe here? That woman's a piece of work on a good day. It's Milo's birthday. He wants his cousins there. I'm not going to start family drama on his birthday." The morning of the party, I wrapped the PS5. I'd planned to give it to him after cake, after the other kids left. Make it special. Milo had been bouncing around the house since 6 a.m., so excited he could barely sit still. Kids started showing up around 2 p.m. Milo's friends were good kids. Played games together, actually included my kid. The neighbors brought nice gifts. One of them, a retired teacher named Helen who'd known my wife, gave Milo a handmade card and a gift certificate for the bookstore. She asked him about school, listened to his answers, treated him like he mattered. Then my parents showed up with Drew's family. The energy shifted right away. Zoe walked in wearing designer everything, looking like she was going to a fashion show. She looked around at our decorations with this barely hidden sneer. Colton ran straight for the snack table, loaded a plate, and didn't acknowledge Milo once. Drew went right to the couch and started scrolling his phone. My parents gave Milo a quick hug, then went straight to Colton. Asked about his latest gaming tournament, his grades, his soccer team. Milo stood there waiting for them to ask him something. They didn't. After about 2 minutes of being ignored at his own birthday party, he just walked away and went back to his friends. Zoe made herself comfortable on my couch, kicked off her heels like she owned the place, and started taking selfies. Posted them later with some caption about family time, without mentioning whose birthday it actually was. Haley noticed. She made a point of sitting with Milo, asking him about his week, making him laugh. She'd brought him a telescope because he'd mentioned being interested in space. Milo's face lit up when he opened it. The party went okay for the first hour. Milo seemed happy. I was managing. Then came cake time. We sang happy birthday. Milo blew out the candles, grinning ear to ear. It was one of those perfect moments. After cake, it was present time. Milo sat on the floor surrounded by wrapped gifts. He opened each one carefully, thanked each friend. Got some Legos, art supplies, books, gift cards. He seemed genuinely happy with everything. My parents gave him a $30 gift card to a gaming store. No card, no wrapping, just handed it to him. Milo thanked them anyway. Good kid. Better than they deserved. Then I brought out the PS5, the big box, carefully wrapped. The room got quiet. Milo's eyes went huge. "Dad, is that—" "Open it and see." He started unwrapping it, taking his time with each layer. His friends gathered around, curious. I stood there watching my kid be happy, thinking this was the moment I'd been saving for. That's when Colton came. Colton had been hanging around Milo the whole time presents were being opened, watching with this look I recognized. The same look he got at family dinners, right before he grabbed something off Milo's plate. Milo got through the wrapping, opened the box, and pulled out the PS5. His whole face lit up. "A PS5! Dad, you got me a PS5!" Before Milo could even really process it, Colton stepped forward and grabbed it right out of his hands. Just snatched it. "I want to see it first." Milo tried to hold on. "Colton, it's mine. I just want to look at it." Colton yanked harder, pulling it away from Milo. I moved toward them. "Colton, give that back to Milo. It's his birthday present." That's when Zoe stood up from the couch. She walked over, putting herself between me and the kids. "Oh, come on, Ronnie. Let Colton look at it. Milo can share for 2 minutes." "It's Milo's birthday. It's his present. Colton needs to give it back now." Zoe turned to Milo with that fake sweet voice. "Milo, sweetie, you're not going to let your cousin look at your new toy? That's not very nice." Milo looked at me, confused and hurt. I saw his eyes starting to water. That's when I stopped being diplomatic. Zoe, tell your son to give my son back his birthday present. Right now. She bristled. Excuse me, don't tell me how to parent my child. I'm not telling you how to parent. I'm telling you that your son took something that doesn't belong to him, and he needs to return it. Drew finally looked up from his phone. Ronnie, bro, chill out. Colton just wants to see it. Stop being so uptight. It's not his to see, it's Milo's. From me. For his birthday. This isn't complicated. My dad decided to join in. Ronnie, come on. Family shares. Colton's just excited about the PlayStation. Let him look at it for a minute. I looked at my dad, this man I'd been bankrolling for 5 years, who couldn't be bothered to defend my kid for 2 seconds. No. Colton, put it down. Now. Colton clutched the PS5 tighter, looking at his mom for guidance. Zoe put her hand on my chest, actually touched me, and said, You need to calm down. You're embarrassing yourself in front of all these people. I stepped back from her hand. Last chance. Tell your kid to give it back. Or what? Zoe's voice went sharp. You're going to throw a tantrum at a children's birthday party? The room had gone completely silent. Milo's friends were watching. The neighbors were watching. Milo was standing there with tears running down his face, and his cousin was holding his birthday present hostage while the adults argued. I reached out and took the PS5 from Colton's hands. He wasn't expecting it and let go. I handed it to Milo. Go put this in your room, buddy. It's yours. That's when Zoe lost it. She grabbed the PS5 right back from Milo, yanked it hard enough that Milo stumbled. If you're going to be selfish about it, then maybe you don't deserve it. I saw red, moved forward to take it back. Give that to my son right now, or I swear… Or what? Zoe's voice went up. She was holding the PS5 now, gripping it with both hands. You think you can tell me what to do? You think you're better than everyone else? Zoe, I'm not asking. I'm telling you. Give my son back his birthday present. She looked at the PS5, then at me, then at Milo crying in the corner. And then she did something I still can't wrap my head around. She threw it on the ground. Hard. On purpose. The PS5 hit the hardwood floor with this awful crack. The casing split. I heard something inside shatter. She'd put real force behind it, meant to destroy it. $650 turned into broken plastic and circuit boards in 1 second. Milo screamed. He dropped to the floor next to the broken PlayStation, trying to pick up the pieces like he could somehow fix it. One of the controllers had split open, batteries rolling across the floor. The disk drive door hung at an angle. Milo kept trying to fit pieces back together, tears dripping onto the broken plastic. Every single person in that room froze. The neighbors' mouths were hanging open. Even Colton looked uncomfortable, like maybe his mom had gone too far. Helen had her hand over her mouth. Zoe stood there breathing hard, looking proud of herself. Maybe that'll teach him to share. That's when Haley moved. She was across the room in 2 seconds, got right in Zoe's face. What the heck is wrong with you? You just destroyed a child's birthday present. At his birthday party. He was being selfish. Someone needed to teach him a lesson. He's 8. His mother is dead. And you just destroyed his birthday present because your spoiled brat wanted it. You're pathetic. Drew finally stood up. Hey, don't talk to my wife like that. Your wife just destroyed $850 worth of presents at a child's birthday party. She's lucky talking is all I'm doing. I was still standing there, looking at the broken PS5. Something inside me just snapped. Get out, I said. Voice calm, dead calm. Zoe rolled her eyes. Oh, please. Get the heck out of my house. Now. Drew stepped forward. Ronnie, come on, you're overreacting. I looked at him, really looked at him. Get your family and leave my house, right now. Ronnie, my dad started. You too, all of you. Out. My mom's voice went shrill. You can't throw your own parents out. I walked to the front door and opened it. You have 2 minutes to leave before I call the police. Zoe grabbed her purse. Fine, this party was boring anyway. She headed for the door, not even looking at the mess she'd caused. Drew followed her, but stopped in front of me. You're making a huge mistake, man. Family doesn't do this to each other. You're right. Family doesn't. That's why I'm done pretending we are one. My parents left last, both of them shooting me these betrayed looks like I was the problem. They didn't check on Milo once on their way out. Didn't apologize. Just left. The door closed behind them, and the house was suddenly very quiet except for Milo crying on the floor. After they left, Haley went straight to Milo, sat on the floor next to him, put her arm around his shoulders. The neighbors helped get Milo's friends out quietly. Party was obviously over. Helen, the retired teacher, squeezed my shoulder on her way out and said she'd testify if I needed her to. Once everyone was gone, It was just the three of us and the broken PS5 scattered across my living room floor. Milo just sat there with Haley, staring at nothing. Before anything else, I called the police non-emergency line and filed a report. Told them what happened, that I had video evidence, that I might pursue civil action. The dispatcher said an officer would come by to document everything. Officer showed up about an hour later, took photos, watched the security footage, wrote up a report, asked if I wanted to press criminal charges for destruction of property. I said I'd decide after talking to my lawyer. He gave me the case number and left. I knelt down next to Milo. Milo, I need you to listen to me. What happened today was not your fault. Not even a little bit. Aunt Zoe is a bad person who did a bad thing. You understand? He nodded, not looking at me. I'm going to make this right. I promise you. But right now, I need you to go upstairs with Aunt Haley. She's going to stay with us tonight. Haley helped him up and took him upstairs. I stood there in my living room thinking about the last 3 years. The favoritism, the financial support, the disrespect, my dead wife getting ignored at her own funeral, Milo being treated like a second-class citizen in his own family. All of it building up to Zoe destroying my kid's birthday present while my parents watched and did nothing. I pulled out my phone and took pictures of everything. The broken PS5 from multiple angles, close-ups of the damage. Then I started pricing out replacement costs online. PS5 console, extra controllers, the games I'd bought. With current market prices and having to buy everything again, we were looking at $850. Then I called my lawyer. Barry picked up on the third ring. Ronnie, it's Saturday, man. This better be good. I need to sue my brother's wife for destruction of property and emotional distress to my son. How fast can we move? Pause. What happened? I told him everything. He was quiet for a moment after I finished. Ronnie, I'll be honest with you. Property damage lawsuit for a gaming console? We can do it, but we're talking maybe $1,500 in damages plus court costs. Might not be worth it financially. I don't care about the money. I care about the principle. These people need to understand there are consequences. Can you make it hurt? If you want to make it hurt, we can add emotional distress. With your son losing his mother, his age, the birthday party setting, we can argue serious emotional trauma. Plus, we can request a restraining order. Do it. All of it. And Barry, I want this pushed through as fast as legally possible. I'll have papers drawn up Monday. After I hung up with Barry, I sat down and did something I should have done years ago. I pulled up my bank statements and figured out exactly how much I'd given my parents over the past 5 years. $32,000 a year for 5 years. $160,000. Plus the $10,000 I'd loaned Drew that never got repaid. I'd given them $170,000 and got nothing back except watching them spoil my nephew while treating my son like garbage. Time to fix that. I sent an email to my property manager. Told him to draft a new lease for my parents' rental at market rate, $2,500 per month, starting next month. If they couldn't pay, start eviction proceedings. Then I logged into my bank and deleted the recurring $1,000 monthly transfer to my dad's account. My phone started ringing around 9 p.m. Drew. I declined. It rang again. My dad. Declined. Then my mom. Declined. I blocked all 3 numbers. They could talk to my lawyer if they had something to say. Haley came downstairs around 10 p.m. Milo's asleep. I gave him melatonin. Hope that's okay. That's fine. Thanks for staying. She sat down next to me on the couch. So, what are you thinking? I'm thinking I'm done. I told her about the lawyer, the lawsuit, the restraining order. Told her about cutting off their money. She listened, then nodded. Good. Took you long enough. You think I'm wrong? I think you should have done this 2 years ago. She paused. You know they're going to lose their minds when they get that rent increase. That's their problem to solve. Drew's going to flip too. He probably thinks he'll inherit that property eventually. Drew can think all he wants. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she said, You know this is going to be war, right? Zoe's going to make it her mission to destroy you. Let her try. I'm holding all the cards. They need me way more than I need them. True, but I'm just saying, be prepared. That woman's vindictive. She was right, of course, but at that moment I didn't care. Let Zoe try. Let Drew throw a fit. Let my parents cry about being cut off. None of it mattered compared to Milo being treated like he was worthless. I'd spent 3 years being the responsible one, the one who kept the peace, the one who paid the bills and bit his tongue and let things slide. And where had it gotten me? My kid crying on the floor at his own birthday party, while Zoe smashed his present and his grandparents watched. No more. From now on, they'd learn what it cost to treat my son like trash. Monday morning came fast. I took Milo to school, made sure he was okay. He'd been quiet all weekend. Haley had stayed both nights, slept in the guest room. Her being there helped. At breakfast Monday, Milo asked, "Dad, are we going to see Grandma and Grandpa anymore?" "Not for a while, buddy. Maybe not ever. They didn't treat you right. Because of the PlayStation? Because of a lot of things." He nodded, pushing cereal around his bowl. "Aunt Haley's still coming over, though, right?" "Aunt Haley's not going anywhere," Haley said from the kitchen doorway. "I'm stuck with you two." Milo smiled. "Barry called me around 10 a.m. Papers are filed. Zoe and Drew will be served today. And Ronnie? I'm requesting $8,500 in damages, $850 for replacement cost and controllers, $2,650 for documented therapy sessions over 6 months, and $5,000 for emotional distress. Plus a restraining order keeping Zoe away from Milo. Can we include Drew in the restraining order?" "Not likely. He didn't destroy anything or directly threaten Milo. But Zoe's a done deal." "Good. How'd they take getting served?" "Zoe threw the papers at the process server." Drew stood there looking confused. "Your parents? Your dad tore them up. Doesn't matter. They were served properly." By Tuesday, the fallout started. My property manager called. "Ronnie, your dad's on the phone losing his mind about the rent increase. Says you can't do this to them. I own the property. I can charge whatever I want. Market rate is $2,500. That's what it is now. He says he can't afford it. Says you're trying to make them homeless. He's lived there at a subsidized rate for 5 years. I've given him more than enough time to figure out his finances. If he can't afford it, he can move. You want me to start eviction proceedings if he doesn't pay? Give them 30 days. After that, yeah. Standard process." Word spread fast. By Wednesday, I'd gotten a call from 3 different relatives trying to mediate. Uncles, cousins, people I barely talked to suddenly concerned about family unity. One aunt I hadn't spoken to in 5 years called crying. I gave them all the same response. Talk to my lawyer. Then I blocked their numbers. Thursday, Zoe tried something new. She called Milo's school pretending to be picking him up. The school secretary called me to verify. I told them to add Zoe, Drew, and my parents to the do not allow list. Only Haley and I were authorized for pickup. The secretary mentioned Zoe had gotten mad when they wouldn't release Milo. Noted it in the records. Friday, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a printed letter, all caps, obviously meant to be threatening, telling me I was destroying the family, that I'd regret this, that Milo would grow up alone. Unsigned, but I knew Zoe's work. Forwarded it to Barry. He said it helped our case, showed her vindictive side. The financial pressure on my parents was working exactly as planned. My mom called Haley crying. Haley told me about it later that night while we were having dinner at my place. She'd started coming over most evenings after work, helping with Milo, being around. "Mom called me today," Haley said you're forcing them out of their house, that they're going to be homeless because of your pride. That's rich. I told her they're not going to be homeless. They're going to have to downsize to something they can actually afford instead of living off your charity. How'd she take that? About as well as you'd expect. Lots of crying about ungrateful children and how she didn't raise us to be so cold. My property manager had sent me updates. My parents were scrambling. Dad had applied for 3 different part-time jobs. Grocery store, hardware store, some delivery service. All got rejected. Too old, too few recent references. Mom tried calling Drew for money. He apparently told her he was tight right now and hung up. The golden child couldn't spare a dime for his own parents. They'd started looking at apartments. 1-bedrooms in neighborhoods they'd never thought about living in. Places without dishwashers or laundry hookups. Reality was hitting hard. Milo was in the living room playing with Legos. Haven't bought him another PS5 yet. Wanted to wait until after everything settled. He seemed okay. Better than I'd expected. "How's he really doing?" Haley asked, noticing me watching him. "He's tough." I took a drink. He asked me yesterday if Colton ever liked him, or if he was always just pretending. Gosh, what did you tell him? Told him that Colton was raised by people who taught him everyone else was less important than him, that it's not Milo's fault. That's good. That's really good, Ronnie. She paused. You know, I've been thinking. I have that spare room in my condo. I barely use it. Milo could have his own space there for weekends if he wanted. Might be good for him to have somewhere that feels completely safe. I looked at my sister. You'd do that? I already had my contractor look at it. We could add shelves for his games, put in better lighting, paint it whatever color he wants. Give him a space that's just his. Haley, don't get emotional on me. Kid needs a space. I have space. It's math. But it wasn't just math, it was love. The kind of family support that Drew and my parents had never shown Milo. The kind that actually mattered. 2 weeks before the court date, Barry called with an update. Zoe's lawyer is trying to settle. She'll pay $3,000 for the PlayStation and issue a written apology to Milo. No, Ronnie, it's not a terrible offer. It's a garbage offer. She destroyed a lot more than a PlayStation. We're going to trial. They're going to dig into your past. Your wife's death, your finances, try to paint you as unstable. Let them try. All right, your call. Just be ready for it to get ugly. It did get ugly. Drew left a voicemail on my work phone. He'd gotten around the block somehow, calling me every name in the book. Said I was destroying the family over a stupid toy. Said Milo was growing up to be soft and entitled. Said my wife would be ashamed of me. That last part almost made me drive to his house. Almost. But I'd learned something in the past month. The best revenge wasn't violence. It was watching them face consequences for the first time in their lives. At the courthouse, Zoe and Drew sat on one side with their lawyer. Some guy in a cheap suit who kept checking his phone. My parents sat with them. Moral support for the golden child. Haley sat next to me. Milo between us. Helen, the neighbor, was there to testify. So was one of Milo's friend's parents who'd seen everything. The trial moved faster than I'd expected. Barry presented our case cleanly. Showed the photos of the broken PlayStation, the video from my home security camera that captured the whole thing. Played it for the courtroom. Milo getting the PS5, Colton grabbing it, the escalation, Zoe smashing it on purpose. You could see on the video how intentional it was. Helen testified. The judge paid attention. The parent of Milo's friend testified next. Then it was Zoe's turn. Her lawyer tried to paint it as an accident, a moment of frustration. Zoe claimed she'd been trying to teach Milo about sharing and hadn't meant to break it. Said it slipped out of her hands. Barry pulled up the security footage again. Freeze-framed the moment where Zoe deliberately slammed it down. Does that look like it slipped? He asked. The lawyer tried to redirect. Argued that the whole situation had been blown out of proportion. That family issues shouldn't be settled in court. Then Barry called me to testify. Asked me about the years of favoritism. The financial support I'd been giving my parents. Built the picture of years of treating Milo like he didn't matter. Your Honor, Barry said in closing, this isn't about a PlayStation. This is about a pattern of abuse and favoritism that ended with an adult woman destroying a grieving child's birthday present to prove a point. That's not an accident. That's cruelty. The judge took 20 minutes to think about it. Came back with a verdict. I find the defendant, Zoe, liable for intentional destruction of property and infliction of emotional distress on a minor child. Your actions were deliberate, malicious, and targeted at a vulnerable child. You will pay $8,500 in damages, $850 for property replacement, $2,650 for documented therapy costs, and $5,000 for emotional distress. Zoe's face went white. The judge continued. Additionally, I'm granting a restraining order. Zoe is prohibited from coming within 500 feet of Milo or his residence. This order is in effect for 1 year, renewable upon review, if violations occur or if continued protection is needed. She sat. Furthermore, the judge said, looking at my parents, while Mr. and Mrs. Foster are not defendants in this case, I want to note for the record that your failure to step in was awful. You watched an adult destroy a child's property at his birthday party and said nothing. That tells me everything about your judgment and priorities. My dad's face went red. Mom stared at the floor. As for Drew, the judge looked at him, you're not included in the restraining order, but I'd strongly suggest you think about your priorities. Standing by while your wife abused your nephew reflects poorly on you. And that was it. Gavel down. Case closed. Walking out of that courthouse, Milo held my hand tight. Haley walked on his other side. Behind us, I could hear Drew and Zoe arguing. My parents didn't say a word, just walked to their car in silence. Dad, Milo said once we were outside, what happens now? Now we go home. Aunt Haley's making dinner. Tomorrow we go buy you a new PlayStation. And everything else? That's for me to worry about, not you. He nodded, satisfied. The $8,500 judgment hit Zoe hard. Really hard. Drew and Zoe had to take out a loan to pay it. Their credit was apparently maxed from keeping up appearances. Heard through the grapevine that they'd had to sell Zoe's car, downgrade to something used. Small price for what she'd done, but at least it was something. My parents never paid their increased rent. Not once. After 30 days, my property manager started eviction proceedings. They didn't wait for the court date. Packed up and moved out within 2 weeks of getting the eviction notice. Found a small apartment in a worse part of town that they could actually afford on their retirement income. My dad tried calling Haley to ask if she'd help them move. She refused. told him to call Drew, see how much help the golden child would be. He didn't call back. The restraining order turned out to be more effective than I'd expected. Zoe tried testing it twice in the first month, showed up at Milo's school, then at the grocery store near our house. First time, police showed up and gave her a citation with a court summons. Got a warning from the judge. Second time, at the grocery store 2 weeks later, they actually arrested her, and she spent a night in jail. The judge warned her that one more violation would mean an extension of the order and possible jail time beyond overnight. But the real karma came from somewhere I didn't expect. Turns out destroying a kid's birthday present on camera doesn't play well in small social circles. Helen, the retired teacher, had been so disgusted by Zoe's behavior that she'd shared what happened with her book club. One of those women had connections at the private school where Colton was enrolled. Private schools care about reputation. A month after the trial, Zoe got called into a meeting at Colton's school. They told her Colton's enrollment wouldn't be renewed for the following year, cited ongoing concerns about family conduct and school community values. Zoe made a scene during that meeting, yelling, threatening to sue, that security had to walk her out. They sent a formal letter the next day confirming the decision. Colton ended up in public school. Same district as Milo, actually, but they kept the kids separated. The restraining order made sure Zoe couldn't show up at school events anyway. Milo, meanwhile, was doing great. Haley made good on the bedroom renovation. The room at her condo was incredible. Gaming setup, bookshelves, space-themed decorations. He started spending every other weekend there. He stopped asking about his grandparents after about 3 months. Just focused on school, friends, gaming, normal kid stuff. The PS5 I'd promised him, bought it the week after the trial. Just came home with it one day. Set it up in the living room. Kid hugged me for a solid minute. Then Haley came over and they spent the whole weekend playing co-op games together. That's what family was supposed to look like. About 6 months after the trial, Drew called me from a new number. "Ronnie, we need to talk." "No, we don't." "Come on, man. This has gone too far. We're family." "We were never family, Drew. Dad and Mom are struggling. They can barely make rent. Are you really going to let your own parents suffer? They're living within their means for the first time in 5 years. That's called being an adult. They're old. They're 68 and 66. Plenty of people work at that age. They can too if they need extra money. Or you could help them. You know, since you're the golden child." Silence. Then, "I can't afford it." "Yeah, you can't afford to help them, but I should keep paying for everyone." "How's that work, Drew?" "It's different. It's exactly the same. You want the benefits of being the favorite without any of the work. Well, congratulations. You got what you wanted. Now you get to deal with it. Ronnie." I hung up and blocked the number. That was the last time I spoke to Drew. People stopped inviting them to things. Drew's business, whatever it actually was, dried up without the networking opportunities. They had to move to a cheaper house. Heard Zoe had to actually get a real job, working retail. Minimum wage. The gossip network was efficient. My parents tried the guilt trip route for a while. Sent letters about family values, about forgiveness, about blood being thicker than water. Sent them all back unopened. Eventually, they stopped. Some people might say I went too far, that I destroyed my family over a video game console. Those people don't understand what it's like to watch your kid be treated like he's worthless for years while you're funding the people doing it. The PlayStation was never just a PlayStation. It was the end result of 3 years of disrespect, of favoritism, of my son being treated like a second-class citizen while I paid for the privilege. Zoe smashing it was the final proof of what the problem had always been. So yeah, I burned it all down, made sure there were consequences, and I'd do it all again tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.